Aloha, good morning. I checked my YouTube channel and apparently the video that I uploaded didn't take. I guess it's sort of fickle. I live off grid, so this is going to be a quick lesson so it actually can upload. However, the simple lessons that we did for lesson 1 and 2 can be replicated and pancaked over and over again. Here's lesson 1. Let's make sure we're in tune. High G, C, E, A. Those are our open strings. So when we go sharp, we go up, and when we go flat, we go down. So the note that we learned was this third note. This string here is the open A string. So we've got A sharp, or B flat. They're both the same at the same time, depending on what key we're talking about. Then we have a B, and then a C. So that C note, because there's no half step between B and C, there's no B sharp, but there kind of is, and we kind of went over that, but I wouldn't call it B sharp. And there's really no C flat, but there is, but I really wouldn't call it that unless I was in the key of C flat. So long story short, we'll get into the music theory of that later, but all we have to do is keep pancaking these lessons, and inevitably, in a week or so, we're going to be jamming on some strong. So, the chords we learned for lesson 2 are going to be the C and the G. The way we make the C and the G is we could use our spyder exercise. So lesson 1, spyder exercise. Let's try not to use our thumb over here. We will be using it eventually, but not now. We're going to be using our first finger on the top string, the high G. We're going to be putting our first finger on the first fret on the first fret on the first string, the high G. So we're basically going to be playing a G sharp or an A flat. So don't worry about the note names, just worry about getting our fingers directly in the middle of the fret, putting our finger on that fret, and then being pointy on it, and keeping our finger on the fretboard. You didn't have an issue with that. I didn't even have to bring it up until we chit-chatted about it after the lesson. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice how I'm like palm muting this thing and just using my finger? It's because I'm holding it really tight. If I was sitting, I'd be using my belly to hold it up, and then I would kind of rest my thumb either on the face, the body here, or on top here over the crest of the dreadnought. Other than that, I would say don't get too used to hanging out here with your thumb because it changes the way these fingers work. But if you think of a ping pong ball being right in here while you're doing this and omit your thumb, we won't have an issue. That's the only thing I want to work on. So it kind of looks like this on the right hand. Then when you move to the next string, it's kind of like this. What this does, it gets your arm in this fulcrum leverage of 1, 2, 3, 4. So you know exactly where those 4 strings are and how far apart they actually are, right? So something that I notice that a lot of people do is when they press down here, they bend a note for some reason. You don't do that either, so that's great. You don't need to fix any of this. All we need to do for lesson 1 is this. I will play it in a mediocre rhythm. If you need to slow it down or speed it up, please go up to the top of here and pick the 3 buttons and use the playback function. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2 with the spyder exercises. Notice how my finger just pops right over to that next one? Sometimes the fingers will go in at a little slant, but you just don't want the fingers to be like this. Cool? Straight on, pointy. Also notice it's much easier to keep the fingers right over the fretboard when going up than it is down. Cool, so that's the first lesson. And what that does is it leads us into the next couple weeks being able to go. And then watch me change my finger here from the first finger to the second finger. So it gives rhythm ability for picking over here too. And then inevitably we change them up. So instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, we would do something like 1, 2, 4, 3, 1, 2, 4, 3. So it gives us the ability to think in current time at a certain tempo. All right, so that's lesson 1. Lesson 2, let's use that spyder exercise and work our way all the way up the fretboard until we get to the 3rd fret and anchor there. That's going to be our C major. Remember, use the back of the fingernails on our thumb when coming up, and use the back of the fingernails on the hand when going down. Could have somewhat of a sewing or a figure 8, or a lathering on, or a painting, something like that. But I kind of view it like this. What I teach when we're doing harder rhythms is just keep 4 the whole time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But that'll be in the next lesson. So our C major, just get accustomed to strumming this guy out and using our different fingers on the same fret to create the same chord. Just because you're playing one note you have down doesn't mean that the strings on here aren't 4 strings and you're making 4 strings. Out of that, you've got a C major and a C major. So that's 2 notes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. They just happen to be the same, so they're in unison, an octave apart. The other 2 notes that you play when you get this are the open E and the open G. So if we're counting C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and take away our 2nd and 4th, we have C, E, and G. That's our major triad. All chords are made up of triads, all right? So let's find our G. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 1st finger and we're gonna put it on the 1st fret, not 1st fret, 2nd fret. Put it on the 2nd fret, we're gonna take our finger on the 2nd fret and put it on the C string. So it's the thick string right here next to your high G. We're gonna go C, C sharp, D, and we're gonna anchor our pointer finger there. Now we're gonna make bookends with the other finger on the same fret to get the B note. A, B flat, B. We're gonna keep both of those notes there because they are bookends to each other. One's on the top string here, and one's on the 2nd to last string here. And then that string in between, I'm gonna put my 3rd finger down for the actual G note. The notes that I'm holding down here are the B, the D, and the G. 1, 3, 5. So we've got our triad again. We're in the key of G, so let's spell it out. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Get rid of 2nd and 4th. We're left with G, B, and D. If I wanted to, I could flatten that median by bringing this B down a half step. It would make it a G minor. So what we're going to do next week is taking the chords we know, G major into a G minor, C major into a C minor, and describing why the 3rd moves the chord. Great job this week, and I will see you next week. Work on the G major by doing a 1, 2, 3, 4. In that period of 2, 3, 4, switch your fingers from the teeter-totter idea, taking off the 1st finger and putting on the pinky. The way we do that is we move the 1st finger off, we put the 2nd finger where the 1st finger was, 3rd finger where the 2nd finger was, and then we bring the pinky on to complete the chord. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4. And what happens is if you can make the switch between that with the 4, 2, 3, 4, then you can do it 2. These are called half notes, not whole notes. And inevitably they become quarter notes, where you're doing it on every turn. So that's how you do that one. The C is a little easier because you're only playing 1 note, but every single chord we learn, we're going to do like that. For example, next week we're going to be learning the F. We'd put our 1st finger down on the F, which is E, E, F, and then our 2nd finger down on the A, G, G sharp, A. Those 2 notes, along with the 2 open strings, the C and the A, make F, A, C, 1, 3, 5. So I've got a major, F major. And then the same thing would happen. I do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, over and over again. So this week's chords, the G major and the C major, we're gonna correlate that with our spyder exercises. These are gonna make us super strong and really effective at just seeing the frets and being able to get contact and a nice note out of it. It was very nice meeting you. Sorry that the other video never made it. Same concepts, just different day. I will see you next week. Aloha.